The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Welcome to what?
I feel like you just really woke up.
Good morning. Hi. Welcome to Esoteric Oddities. I'm Sarah.
I'm Jonathan.
And we are two friends.
Doing the damn thing and hoping for the best.
I think that's all it boils down to. So I think when this comes out, it is the day after St. Fat Dick's Day.
Love that for you.
Well, it's going to be St. Fat Dick's Day for you also.
Oh.
I really don't think I'm doing anything for St. Patrick's Day because I let yesterday, which for y'all would have been a whole week ago.
I don't do anything on St. Patrick's Day or before that. I hate drinking the day. I don't know who I am anymore. It's fine.
I went to a bar crawl. It was my first bar crawl. Have you done one before?
Yeah, that's probably why I'm scarred.
It was.
You asked me to go and I was like, I'm good.
It was fun. It was interesting.
No, they drank for 10 hours straight.
I started drinking at 10 in the morning and I stopped drinking at midnight.
I cannot.
Maybe a little bit before midnight.
I would have been throwing up.
I didn't go hard because I think I know my lemons and I know.
You gotta know your lemons.
But
it's just all being around all those people just makes me anxious.
Oh, there was a whole lot of people that got real rowdy. And
yeah,
then,
and
but
there's
all
frowdy people and young.
At one point, I was like, wow, I'm too sober for this. Because I was like, no, I would much rather be one of these loud ass people on the bus.
I feel that.
Gotta catch up. But it was fun. We ended up at a bar and there were so many swingers. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I support, but wow. It was I felt like I was watching an episode of TLC or something. They were
TLC?
I was watching something on TLC. It was just it was a lot. There was this one lady who I went up to the bar and she had already approached the table twice and tried to talk to me, tried to talk to my cousin, tried to talk to one of our friends. And maybe clearly she was really drunk. But
right.
I went up to the bar to get Long Island iced tea to really kickstart that jamboree.
Right.
And as I did, oh my God, I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. So I go up to get my iced tea and of course she was there with somebody who looked like he was in a biker gang and he could rip my head off. When you're playing with a little dandelion and you use your thumb, flick it out. Yeah, that's what he could have done to my head.
Pop your head off.
Right off with his thumb. So I was already trying to stay clear of that situation. So I'm getting my drink and the lady literally starts she has her back to me and I'm leaning up towards the I'm leaning on the bar.
I feel like straight women love you.
Oh my God, she had her back to me and she starts leaning on
lean
my arm
with it, rock
and then
with
when
it.
I don't respond she pushes a little harder.
Oh no.
I know. So
where'd you get your tips from?
I move out of the way and she almost fell. She dropped her phone and I was maybe don't fucking
lean on me, bitch. What is this?
So safe to say today I'm not hungover
He's
anymore.
Not good.
I'm not bad. I'm just I'm a little spacey today.
It's literally 6:05 and he just got to my house.
It is 6:05.
And that's unlike Jonathan.
It is really not
He'll be here
me.
at 12 p.m.
Well, because I texted Sarah this morning and I was like, hey, dude, you
I'm
know
not
what I did
good.
yesterday? I just need to chill. And not to brag or anything, but I'm the king of naps right now. I took a really great nap on Friday. They should write a book about it.
I love that.
I took an amazing nap this morning. They should write a book about it.
I love that.
And here I am. Thanks
Just
for listening to
being
my
great.
TED Talk.
On Wednesday, I went to a sip and draw at the art museum. It was really nice. It was
a sip and draw.
Yeah, hosted by my friend Love Is. If anybody wants to check out her artwork, her Instagram is @loveiswise. Illu. That's ILLU. She's a really great artist. She deserves every great thing that's coming to her.
So what did you do there? Did you draw?
So it was a free drawing class. My stupid ass thought it was gonna be paint and sip where it's guided. This shit was for people who actually know how to draw. But I met these really two girls, and they were really nice. We exchanged info.
Yes, you better just bring that business card.
That was cool. But yeah, it was really nice. I ended up drawing stick figures because I did not know what was good.
So did you go by yourself and then like meet everybody there?
So I met this new friend.
Hey, new friend.
We met at the gym, but
oh, gym buddy.
Right. So I ended up bringing her, but she ended up being super late because she got lost.
Oh God.
So she didn't show up until like 7:50. So we walked around the museum and then we got drinks.
I love that you have a gym buddy. That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that for you. Look at you.
I'm just doing all the great things in life.
You better just. Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't have anything else but that to contribute. I
love that. I love it. I love a draw and a sip and draw.
I recently joined the gym, so now I'm like one of those people who goes to the gym 4 days a week, and I don't have a life outside of that.
That's amazing. But you went to the sip and draw.
I did, but that's also untrue. Like I just picked the weekends where I want to do nothing.
As you should.
And this weekend was just that, and it was amazing.
Sip and draw.
Sip and draw.
I've never heard that. Not to be mistaken with Chippendales, which
I need water.
Not the same thing. Okay. Oh God.
I am back, bitches.
And hydrated as ever. So today's episode, I am actually excited about this episode. More excited than I thought I was going to be. I found some real fucking gems, and I am curious to see what you found. But today's topic is medical treatments. Mostly medical treatments that they don't use anymore. Well, I don't know about yours, but mine, they pretty much, for the most part, do not. And
the one they don't, the other. Well, I lied. Okay, I don't know. It's a form.
Okay, got it. So mine are pretty wild, and I think I'm gonna do one, then you're gonna do one, then we're gonna go.
Yeah, that's how we usually do it.
The old ping pong.
Switcheroo.
Ready? All right. So I'm gonna start, and my first one is okay. You know, I'm not gonna spoil it by telling you what it is, but this was in the late 1700s. It was a general mainstream medical procedure commonly used to resuscitate people who were otherwise presumed dead. Oh. It was commonly used to resuscitate drowning victims, more particularly. Basically, this piece of equipment was hung near major waterways where people would swim and sometimes drown. So people who frequented waterways were expected to know how to use this piece of equipment. And do you want to know what it was?
Tell me.
It's tobacco smoke enema.
Oh, no.
So you would insert a tube
Lord.
up a victim's rectum, and the tube was connected to a fumigator and a bellows, which, when compressed, forced smoke into the rectum. So the nicotine in tobacco was thought to stimulate the heart to beat stronger and faster, which then could potentially save a life, or is what they believed. So the smoke was also thought to warm the victim from the inside and dry out their insides, removing excess moisture.
Do you remember those, like, what is it that you put in the corners of your mouth? Two? They had packets.
Yeah.
And I did it once and I got really sick.
I only did it once.
I got really fucking sick.
I was like nauseous. I was at the beach with my brother. We were walking on the beach, just like talking, and it was late at night, and I was like, this is foul. This is disgusting.
Okay, it makes me feel like I literally had to go home.
Well, you know that there's little like pieces of fiberglass that make minuscule cuts in your mouth, and that's how it gets into your bloodstream, and that's like how you feel the effects of it.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah, I remember there was this girl, because it was really popular to do it in high school.
Oh
now
no,
I think
help them.
Everybody vapes, but I remember sophomore year, this kid Dan, he would do it frequently, and they would have the Wawa bottles of iced tea, because that's what they sold in our cafeteria and at the in the vending machines.
You were bougie.
Yeah.
You rich.
So they would dump out the iced tea or drink the iced tea, and then when you spit in it in class, it just looks like iced tea because your spit is fucking brown.
Awesome.
So he was doing it, and his girlfriend came into the classroom and thought it was iced tea, opened it, and took a nice gulp.
Shut up.
I will not.
Your man,
I will not forget that.
That's like, why would you drink anything of his?
I wonder what she's doing. She kind of fell off. I don't even think she went to our school anymore. Neither did he.
That's because she drank
His spit.
Yeah.
I think she moved away. Wow, that was a time. So Native Americans were actually known to have used tobacco in a variety of ways, including using it to treat, medical ailments. And the European doctors did what most white people have done for centuries. They snatched that culture and they profited.
I love that.
So they began advocating it for treatments for everything from headaches to cancer. So now they're just like not even drowning anymore. They're like, let's do it for everything. You got a headache? What's an ibuprofen when you can shove a tube up your ass and spark a little ciggy?
Right.
Okay, so in 1745, there was this dude, his name was Richard Meade, right? So he was essentially the first known Westerner to suggest that tobacco enemas were an effective way to resuscitate drowning victims. So then in 1774, there is a doctor named William Hawes, and there's also a doctor named Thomas Coggan, and they were both from London, and they formed an institution that was literally named the Institution for Affording Immediate Relief for Persons Apparently Dead from Drowning. That's what it was called.
Yikes.
But then they later became known as the Royal Humane Society because I guess the original title was too big to fit on tax forms. So back in the 18th century, the Royal Humane Society, formerly known as the Institution for Affording Immediate Relief for Persons Apparently Dead of Drowning, promoted the resuscitation of drowning people by paying volunteers about $756 in today's money. They were paying these volunteers that amount of money to anybody who was able to successfully revive a drowning victim.
Oh, no.
So don't quite know how that worked.
Right.
If they were just like, hey, if you can get somebody to die and like drown and nearly die and possibly die, we're not going to pay them as a volunteer, but we will pay you if you can resuscitate them. Anyway. Artificial respiration was also used if the tobacco enema did not successfully revive the people, which was often because, as it turns out, it's better to pound water out of somebody's lungs and pinch their nose and do the old mouth-to-mouth thing rather than light up a fucking Virginia Slim and shove it up somebody's cornhole.
True. Cornhole.
So in order for people to remember how to do this, in 1774, this dude named Dr. Holston, he published a rhyme. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Tobacco enema, breathe and bleed.
Oh, no.
Keep you warm and rub till you succeed, and spare no pains for what you do may one day be repaid to you. Wait.
Repaid?
Can we just concentrate
That's like not.
on those first two lines in this stanza? Tobacco enema, breathe and bleed, keep warm and rub till you succeed. Does that not sound...
That sounds painful.
That sounds sexual. Does it not? Rub
if
till you
someone's
succeed.
shoving something up your ass, that is sexual.
God. Oh my God. So...
hello? Like what?
I kind of want to try it.
Oh God.
I'm not going to lie. Like there's this... do you know coffee enema, right? Where you literally take like black coffee and shove it up your ass the way you would do with an enema.
Yeah.
If anybody's tried this, please let me know. odditiespodcast@gmail.com. I don't need pictures or attachments or anything. In fact, please do not include pictures or attachments. But I'd love to hear your story about it. Again, odditiespodcast@gmail.com. So the practicing of using tobacco enemas on drowning victims was spread as a popular way to introduce tobacco to the body to treat an array of other medical conditions. Like I said before, they then started using this enema to treat headaches, hernias, respiratory ailments. I almost just threw up. Abdominal.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I hiccuped and then a little something came up. Maybe I should try a tobacco enema.
Yeah, maybe that will really help you.
It was also used for abdominal cramps, among many other things. So tobacco enemas were even used to treat typhoid. Am I okay? Typhoid.
Typhoid. Are you hungry?
I am.
I am.
So during their outbreaks, when patients were in their final stages of illness, so one of the earliest documented references of using such tobacco enemas to resuscitate somebody came from using a smoke pipe in 1746. So in this case, a man, he didn't have this actual device, but a man's wife had nearly drowned and she was unconscious. So since they didn't have the actual instruments to do this, the husband of the woman took a pipe and he filled it with burning tobacco, shoved the stem into his wife's asshole, and covered the other end with another pipe. So it was kind of like a little hose with the embers in the middle, and he blew into it. So the hot embers traveled up her ass, and she was indeed revived. Can you imagine?
Wait. Ouch. First of all.
Yeah, that's what exactly.
Like literally hot ass flames blowing through your body. Are you good?
So then in 1811, English scientist Ben Brody was testing on animals, which we do not condone.
We don't ever.
If you're going to test tobacco enemas, I would suggest reaching out to the Westboro Baptist Church. I'm sure you'll find a handful of participants.
I love that for you.
So Ben Brody, this science dude, not to be confused with Bill Nye. It's a little joke I just made up on the spot, and it's
How
not.
does that make any sense?
Eat my ass, or shove a cigarette up it. So this dude, he discovered that nicotine was actually toxic to the cardiac system, and he was
don't say.
you know what? Maybe the tobacco's not bad, but the nicotine that's in it, maybe we probably shouldn't be doing this. So everybody was kind of just like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we should probably stop fucking doing this. So some other little facts is that besides smoke enemas, another relatively popular way to administer tobacco to the body was via water mixture enema. In one account, this included administering a liquid tobacco along with chicken broth into a patient's rectum.
I love that for you.
Also, there were so many people making out on the bus yesterday.
Well, yeah, because they were drunk.
Yeah, but I feel like it smelled like chicken broth. And I was like, it's definitely these people making out. It just smells like chicken broth.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
That's
so,
like the... you
yeah.
know? I'm disgusted.
You got broth breath. So my last little piece of info is that there are records of both Native Americans and Europeans using tobacco smoke enemas to treat constipated horses. Now, that's going to take an awful big cigarette, okay. Maybe a stogie or... Have you ever smoked a cigar?
Yeah, like once, and I barely finished it because, like, what the fuck?
I
don't smoke anything that doesn't, like, get me high, so...
I smoked a Cuban. It was my first time ever smoking a cigar. Maybe not the one to start off.
I cannot.
Pretty sure they're illegal in the United States.
Why?
I don't know. It probably has something to do with the cartel or the fact that it could probably kill you. But I didn't know that you don't smoke it like a cigarette. Like, you're supposed to just let it fill your mouth and then blow it out.
Yeah.
So I'm down here on, like, the deck of a cruise line, smoking it like a fucking cigarette.
I cannot. Are you
and I'm
good?
Like,
did you throw up?
I don't remember, because that was also the first time I legally could drink overseas.
Lord. You're just a mess.
Yeah.
I feel like you got the mess card. I used to be a mess.
I would like to return it. So yeah, that is...
no gives these back.
That's what God's saying up there. He's like, no gives these back. Jonathan, you're stuck with it.
Wait, who? Just kidding. Anyway, go on.
I mean, she's up there. So what do you think? What do you think of coffee enemas? I mean, tobacco
I'm gonna
enemas.
say it's a no for me.
Okay. I was just curious if we're ever swimming and you almost drown.
No, please don't.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Have you ever been rescued by a lifeguard?
No.
I was rescued by a really hot lifeguard, and it was so embarrassing.
I love that. That's probably like a dream come true. Like,
no,
think of it like you're half passed out because you're drowning. And
no, it was because I was surfing too close to the jetty, and I was really fucking tired, and I couldn't swim fast enough to get away
jetty?
from the jagged rocks. I could literally like kill you if you smashed into them. I was getting way too close.
Bruh, you almost like didn't make it to friendship.
It was so embarrassing. I was with Nicole, and I also learned that you should not pee inside a wetsuit because it will stick around. It's not like a swimsuit because it literally just holds it all in there.
Ew, oh my fucking God, that's so disgusting. Wait, fun fact, do not pee in a wetsuit.
So now
I feel like that's what I'm going to be thinking about that all night.
Tell your ugly friends if they wear...
Don't pee in a wetsuit.
Don't pee in a fucking wetsuit. Unless you're into that. It really kept me warm. Cat.
Knock it off.
Hello.
Charlie.
Is it a cat in the hat?
He's like a really bad child.
He's a bully.
He is a bully.
Look at him on the prowl.
He like just thinks he runs everything.
He really does.
And I'm like, who are you?
He has
small
agility
boy?
though. My fucking cat has no agility.
Oh
She
my
fell
God,
off.
Charlie is like...
Buffy fell off the top of the fridge multiple times.
And she probably just laid there.
Yeah, she looked at me like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, girl, that's how gravity works. Oh God. All right. So back to medical treatments.
Yes. So this is a.
Oh wait, hold on before you say it. Also, Carly one time told me that. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
No, I just.
You just already know because
Yes,
it's Carly.
exactly.
Carly told me she knew.
Okay.
I was like, I need an enema, and homegirl brought me edamame. Edamame.
I can't.
And what I want the listeners to know about Carly, oh my God, she just Snapchatted me. She hears me.
I can't.
What I want you to know about Carly is she didn't do it as a joke. She didn't think it was funny. And then she didn't understand why I thought it was so funny when I was expecting an enema. And she brings a bag of frozen green peas.
Or what does my mom call it?
We just
edamame.
Edamame. Ew. Also, I picked up one of your nasty edamame things and I ate it. Do you remember that? Yeah, you don't remember that? We were both like really out of our minds. We were sitting in our old living room and we were eating them, and you put one down in the discard pile and I picked it right up and I stuck that shit in my mouth. I was like, what a jip. There's nothing in here.
What a gift here.
And I was like, yeah, no.
That's so funny.
It had your spit in it.
We should make a bloopers part for the podcast. That's like really too much work, but like
something's
like really funny.
I'm just going to leave it in.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, okay, back to medical enemas.
So this little segment is dedicated to Janine. She's a teeth enthusiast.
At True Crime Girls, hey.
Yeah, so you can guess what my topic's about.
Is it about vocal cords?
Yeah, you're so right. The mouth.
Mm.
So, dentistry in some form has been practiced for at least 9,000 years. Although tooth extraction and remedies for toothaches go back much further than that, the study of ancient remains from around the world have demonstrated the originality that exists in the application of surgery, cosmetic dental practices coming back many years.
It's also really wild, before you jump into it, isn't it wild that like to identify a dead person, your like dental records are as unique as your fingerprints? How wild is that?
And I would never assume. I guess like our teeth are also very what is that word? Original. The Indus Valley civilization has provided evidence for the earliest form of dentistry, which dates back to 7000 BC. Sites in Pakistan have revealed dental practices involving curing tooth-related disorders with bow drills operated by a skilled bead craftsman.
7,000
BC. The reconstruction of this ancient form of dentistry shows that the methods used were reliable and effective. Isn't that crazy? Like drilling holes in teeth, and they're like, "This works."
Ew.
But I guess that's what we do now.
But we have equipment. We got local anesthetic.
I got 7 cavities removed.
Yeah, you didn't get them removed. You get them filled.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I got 7 cavities filled all at once. And listen, the worst part was. Did I say this in the last?
Yeah, this is what you started it with because
they just kept
the last episode.
Me with Novocaine.
The last episode, because I was editing it and you were like, I got 7 cavities removed, and I was like, wait, do you remove cavities?
No, oh my God, you fill them. I'm an idiot.
No, because then you said you fill them, and we're here and
we're here and we're queer.
We're here and we're learning from our mistakes.
So the oldest evidence of dental filling was found in 2012 in Somalia. When
I'm a fucking idiot. I was like, whoa, all the way back in 2012. They were
when a 6,500-year-old jawbone demonstrated that a cavity deep enough to impact the dentin layer of the tooth had been packed with beeswax. Scientists aren't sure how effective this was, but it probably reduced pain and swelling.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wouldn't that just fall out? I guess they would have had to pack it with a whole lot of beeswax, huh?
Yeah, but I feel like it's sticky enough that it would have stuck.
But if you're chewing, like, I don't know what they ate back then. I know it wasn't in and out, but like,
oh right,
if they're eating something, it'll get stuck. Well, Evanescence not, because that's
crazy.
Stuck around, but that's wild. Also, beeswax is wild.
Yeah.
What is that trend that's going on, like the ASMR channels where people are like eating honeycomb?
Yeah, because it's like.
What is going on with that though?
It's
honey
very
is
satisfying.
It makes me like sick because honey is so fucking sweet that it's like. Oh no. When I was little, I used to be able, like, we would go to McDonald's and I'd get a pack of honey and I would suck on that shit.
Oh, suck on it.
Yeah, now that I'm older, I'm sucking on Tums.
Water, okay?
Because I have acid reflux. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh.
Also dicks.
The first and most enduring explanation for what causes tooth decay was the tooth worm.
Tooth worm?
Yeah.
Is this an instrument or is this a thing?
No, this is like, so they thought that there was a tooth worm that decayed teeth. So the hypothesis was that tooth decay was the result of a tooth worm boring into a disintegrating tooth. This logic, as the holes created by cavities are somewhat similar to the worms in wood. Like, you know how they...
okay, like a termite kind of deal?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So this is what
kind of makes sense.
It does make sense, but please tell me it was proved not to be true, because that skews me out. Just having like a worm in your mouth. One time I was drinking apple cider.
Oh my God, stop it.
And there was a worm in it. And it was hanging out of my mouth. That's what you get when you get like fresh pressed.
We love that. The idea of the tooth worm was found in the writings of ancient Greek philosophers and
Falafel.
Falafel.
Ancient Greek falafel.
No, I said falafel.
Oh my God. I think we found a title, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode. Ancient Greek falafel. Well, falafels are Greek, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So, pow, and kisser.
Right in my eardrum. Jesus.
So it was in the writings of ancient Greek philosophers and poets, as well as those of the ancient Indian, Japanese, Egyptian, and Chinese cultures, and endured as late as the 1300s, when French surgeon Guy de Chalalalot
It's fine, we'll just call him Guy.
still promoted the belief that worms cause tooth decay. So historical records reveal numerous dental and hygiene procedures practiced by the ancient Egyptians. The Edwin Smith...
Hold on, wait.
What are you looking at?
Wow. Okay, so I typed in, when did people start? And the second one says start brushing their teeth. Because you said that, and I'm kind of curious too.
Yeah,
because it says...
I'm wondering if that's how, like...
I mean, obviously you can't find it exactly, but it says as far back as 3000 BC. So you're talking about possibly 3000 years before that.
Yeah.
But you have to think people had to have been doing something, because when you get plaque on your teeth, even if you just use your fingernail, is this gross? Is this TMI? I don't really give a fuck.
Like, oh.
But like, just like, ugh,
That's
you
true.
feel
Maybe they
gross.
didn't know what it was, so they're like, that's fine.
They had to have been doing something, like rub a stick on it or...
Oh, that's true.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted
Round
to...
2 later.
I just wanted to clear up the air on oral hygiene history.
The Edwin Smith Papyrus, written in 1700 BC, may reflect previous manuscripts from as early as 3000 BC, which includes treatments of several dental alignments. And Ebris Papyrus, dating to the 1700 BC, contains 11 recipes which pertain to oral issues. 4 of these are remedies for loose teeth. The tooth in question is filled with a mixture that is modern day composite filling. So, like, they were already doing fillings before, like, we were doing fillings.
Right.
But it was, like, they're saying it's, like, of the same ingredients. Like, they were
Really?
filling it the same way.
That's weird. Dude, it blows my mind how people figured that.
It was ground barley.
People were smart as shit back then.
Right.
Wow.
And it was mixed with a liquid to, like, make it hard.
Right. Like a cement type deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
And they found this on an Egyptian mummy. That's how I knew, like,
dude, mummies are crazy.
Right?
We should do another episode about them, because it's been a minute. But
it was 2,100 years old.
Bruh. That's old as dust.
Hesse Rees, the first named dentist in ancient Egypt and basically the world. He is an official physician and scribe who lived during the 3rd dynasty of Egypt around 600 BC and served under the pharaoh, Djoser? Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. He had titles such as Chief of Dentists and Physicians, Doctor of the Tooth, Chief of the King's Scribes, and so on. While he was ranked Chief of Dentists, it is not entirely clear what this title actually means. He was credited as being the first man to recognize gum disease.
Gross.
Yeah.
Scrub your gums. Also, when you're at the dentist and they're just like, your gums are bleeding because you haven't brushed your teeth or floss. I'm like, no, actually, you just dug into them like a fucking hacksaw.
Right. I'm sorry,
That's
I can't
why
do that at
they're
home.
bleeding.
Right.
Also, I have my retainer, so flossing for me is so fucking annoying. But if I don't do it, it's really gross. So I actually hi, if my dentist is listening, you'll be glad to know that I do floss twice a day because I use my little picks.
New thing on Amazon. It's like water floss, and it's so easy.
I saw that, but my teeth are so tight, baby, that it's not gonna work.
I have groovy ass teeth.
Ooh, baby! I just want to shoulder lean and snap to your groovy teeth.
Physicians were no strangers to reconstruction works. There have been 3 instances of dental bridges. 1 or more lost teeth reattached by means of gold or silver wire to the surrounding teeth. I'm going to post a picture of this on the Instagram. In some cases, a bridge was made using donor teeth. However, it's a bit unclear whether these works were performed during the life of the patient or after. Oh,
okay. So potentially they would take other dead people's teeth
shove them
and put them into your mouth.
Yeah. With a gold wire. Don't forget that.
Oh, yep. Got to get that gold wire. Also, that's interesting because gold... Okay, I'm also kind of an idiot because my permanent retainer is white gold.
Oh.
But gold is like malleable. It's like it's bendy.
Is yours?
Well, mine's like the way that it is. It's not a bar across it. It's like really, really tiny, minuscule chains.
Oh,
like it looks like a little chain link. So the way that it's laid like flat on my mouth is, I don't know how to explain it. It's mostly just like cemented over.
Does your like mouth go off in the airport?
No.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
So this next one's very interesting. You know how people do those little rhinestones on their teeth?
Yeah.
Well, the Mayans started it, so we're going to get into
okay, love it.
The Mayans are credited with being the masters of cosmetic dentistry, as they were known to decorate teeth by embedding them with precious stones or carving notches and grooves into them.
Ooh,
tiny holes were chipped out of teeth, and or enamel stones, including jade, were attached with an adhesive made out of natural resins such as plant sap, which was mixed with other chemicals, and crushed bones.
Okay, the fact that they could put like a hole in a tooth is
beyond.
Oh, because that's just really exposing your nerves. Maybe it's because I have sensitive teeth.
I think you do, and you like feel it.
I can feel it. Yeah, I'm like running my tongue across my teeth, and I have sensitive teeth. Like if I go to drink something really cold and it like hits my teeth hard, it kind of gives me like a headache.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel that.
Also, I was thinking about like porcelain veneers. Like they look really nice. They look really great.
Doesn't your teeth rot under it? Like how?
Basically,
Okay, there was this story. I'm sorry, I just like took that away.
No.
There was this story that so all of the old veneers used to stink. Like your breath would stink, and there was this rumor that Beyonce's breath smelled because she had the old veneers.
Oh no. Mm-hmm. I wonder. I bet her breath like smells like money.
Yeah.
In like the good way, not like
candy.
Yeah. But Gigi Gorgeous, the YouTuber, she showed pictures and stuff about how her porcelain veneer fell out and her tooth under it is really tiny because they literally shave it down.
So it can like it's still something to hang on to, but it's like really nasty.
Honestly, a long time ago, like at the beginning of college, I really was aiming to get porcelain veneers.
I really was too. I really want them, but I
don't want to do that because then what
I just imagine you losing all your money and then ripping your veneers out and you only have these little shaven teeth
that look like little pieces of mulch.
Yes, I am so done.
That get like stuck in your shoe when you're at the playground. But oh god. Okay, back to the teeth.
All right. During the Middle Ages and throughout the 19th century, this is like really 19th century.
Okay, right. Not BC you're talking.
Dentistry was not a profession in itself, and often dental procedures were performed by barbers or general physicians. Barbers usually limited their practice to extracting teeth, which alleviated pain and associated with chronic tooth infection.
I wonder why that is because I'll get to it, but I have one of my things was also performed by barbers, and it seems like something barbers probably shouldn't be fucking doing.
Always.
You know what it is? I think because you have to have a license. I'm not a barber.
You have a license,
you
you're
can fucking
good.
do it all, but you have to. I could be wrong on this, but I believe to have those like the straight edge razors, you need a license to do that because if you nick it like that, you're exposing your blood and you could literally cause diseases and spread diseases and shit. So I do believe that you need a license as a barber to do that. Somebody call me out if I'm wrong. But maybe that's what it is, because that was like the closest thing that was open to the public to go, go do something. And it's not like a doctor. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. You know what you're talking about. You're the expert. Go ahead.
In the 1400s, dentures seemed to take more of, the modern dental practices of today could not have developed without the originality and experimentation of ancient people beginning at least 9,000 years ago. And that is my take on teeth.
That's wild.
Right? Sorry, I couldn't find a lot about the barbers and the teeth thing.
No, that's fine, but it's like I guess that's something I really never fucking thought about, was like, how do people take care of their teeth? Because honestly, I always thought, how like the Brits had really bad teeth, no offense, but like back in George Washington's time, I saw people kind of didn't really know too much about it until rather recently. When I was little, I used to pull my teeth out.
What?
If my tooth was loose in the morning, it was out by the end of the night. I would sit there and I would pull it and I would twist them. It'd be hanging on by like a vein.
Didn't that hurt?
It did, but I liked the pain. I don't like
Shut up.
Like if I chip my tooth, like that type of pain and exposure to the nerves hurts. But if I'm like yanking on a tooth, like, I used to literally do bathroom surgeries on myself, and I hate to admit that. I asked my parents, they were concerned.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I would sit in there. I would use like little tools. I had a little toolkit. I cried when I found out that it was my last baby tooth that fell out. I had a little box. My mom still has a little box.
I hate you.
Because I would keep it under my bed of the teeth. And I would keep them in this like formaldehyde shit that I made, because I found out over like the course of things, like if you leave a tooth out, it'll like split in the middle. So I was trying to figure out what liquids I could put it in. I tried water, and water wasn't working out. So I tried like a little bit of like fluoride. Why am I telling you guys this? Subscribe if you want more weird fucking content. Okay, on to the next thing. So I'm like, usually I don't think things are weird because I'm fucking weird, but that like really took me somewhere else. Thank you. You're welcome. Also, yeah, I share that fascination with Janine because I had a necklace with a tooth on it, and I wore it when I was working at H&M one time, and I remember this woman was a dentist, and she was like trying to talk to me about teeth. I was like, listen, I don't know anything about bicuspids and canines, but like I just like teeth, lady.
I just like teeth, lady. Get the fuck off my back.
I was like, can I help you with a changing room, or like what's good? So all right, so my next story is treating syphilis with malaria.
Shut up.
So during the pre-penicillin era, there was no efficient treatment for syphilis. Okay, so this is kind of going to go from one thing to the next, so you got to pay attention. So stick with me here. So
okay, sticking.
In the initial days of the disease being spread, victims did not develop neurosyphilis until 10 to 25 years after their initial infection.
Oh my God, so you like wouldn't even be able to track who gave you syphilis.
Right, okay, so but here's what was happening. So the most severe form of which is a general paralysis of the insane, or GPI. So I'm going to call it GPI, and we're going to talk about that first. So it's also known as paralytic dementia. So GPI is fatal in almost all cases because of the progressive degeneration of the nervous system. So basically, if you had GPI, you would die from it. So physically, GPI is characterized by seizures, ataxia, speech deficits, and general paralysis. And mentally, it caused mania, depression, paranoia, violent behavior, delirium, memory loss, and the disorientation and apathy. So a possible cure for GPA has been reported since Hippocrates' time, which was potentially like 460 BCE. But it's much different now than it was back then. So Hippocrates wrote that during and after the intermittent fever, which is now known as malaria, patients with the mental insanities had improved and their aggressiveness had been reduced. So keep that in mind. Okay. So then in the 15th century, this dude named Roy Diaz d'Isla was the first to report that malaria had beneficial effect on syphilis. Also, remember, malaria is nothing to fuck with. So it's a mosquito-borne disease that can most likely kill you.
Like, what's different? What's worse, syphilis or malaria?
Right, okay. But it's not just a distant disease, because in 2016, there were 216 million cases of malaria worldwide that caused an estimated 445,000 to 731,000 deaths. Approximately 90% of those had occurred in Africa. So that was in 2016. Like, that's fucked. That's insane.
Right.
So 350 years after this Roy Diaz guy, there's this other guy. His name is Wagner Jareg. I'm going to call him Wagner just because I don't feel like butchering it every time. But he was the father of malaria therapy. Not to mention, he had a really fucking intense mustache. I will post a picture of it. He described in detail experiments which included malaria in GPI patients. Okay, but here's the thing. GPI was not a known consequence of syphilis until 1905. So they were concentrating, like this whole time I'm talking about these people and relating it to malaria, were pretty much, except for Roy Diaz, they were all just kind of saying people had GPI and they didn't know that syphilis caused GPI until 1905.
Lord.
So this whole time, all these people had syphilis and nobody knew. They just thought that the people were mental and mad and didn't really couldn't pinpoint any sort of disease behind it besides like GPI. Like there was nothing that was causing their GPI. But there's this dude named Carl Landsteiner. Now I'm going to be name dropping like crazy, but stick with me. So he was an Austrian biologist and he had another impressive mustache. I think it was like a prerequisite back then. You had to have a dope mustache.
We love dope mustaches. I mustache you a question.
But I think I'll shave it for later. So he published that high fever could kill the bacteria of syphilis. Are you following me here? Because in 1913, there's this guy, his name is Hideo Nogaki.
Yeah,
Sorry.
See, these are hard.
He was a Japanese bacteriologist, and he demonstrated that GPI was caused by the Trenopodium pallidum. Basically, GPI was caused by the bacteria that is from syphilis. This guy, he actually moved from Japan to US and he actually worked at the University of Pennsylvania. Can you believe it? He worked there in 1900. I don't want to venture too far off topic, but this guy's life was very, very interesting. I kind of started falling down a K-hole reading just about this guy's life. Because when he was 3 years old, he fell into a fireplace that burned his entire body. He actually lost fingers on the left side of his body and he was seen as disabled, which in adulthood kept him from entering the medical field in Japan.
Oh my God.
So he moved to the US and eventually he moved from Pennsylvania to New York City, which is where he did most of his findings. So another side note is this guy is super fucking controversial, mainly because of his unethical human experimentation. It's a back and forth argument you can find online because he did incredible research and he had incredible findings that eventually helped people. But he also had gone to court because he was infecting orphan children with syphilis through a syringe.
No.
But he was acquitted of that. So in the eyes of the law, he didn't actually do that. But most people think he did do that because he did become guilty of experimenting on children, which is fucked up, but I digress. So basically, he would take his patients who had syphilis, right? So these people already had syphilis, quote unquote. He didn't give them syphilis. They already had syphilis.
Okay.
Are you following me?
Yeah, we are. It's an experiment.
Yeah, so he then injected these people with malaria in an attempt to cause the highest possible fever, which in turn would bring the victim's blood temperature to a high enough point that would kill off the syphilis bacteria. So, technically, the malaria didn't cure the syphilis. It was the patient's own fever that cured it. But to get, the fever high enough, you had to go with malaria.
Right.
If that makes sense. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this was being called malaria therapy. So through one of this guy's experiments, 3 of 9 patients recovered completely. 3 presented a good improvement, 2 reported no changes, and 1 died, but not from syphilis, from malaria.
Oh, look at that.
But they knew what these people in this specific one knew what they were signing up for. They were kind of just like, we have nothing to lose. We can only yell at that cat. Hey.
Charlie, knock it off.
So these results were pretty good in the eyes of the public. So news of the success of malaria therapy in GIP then spread across the world in an international review of 2,460 cases. It showed that 27.5 patients subjected to malaria therapy had greatly improved, and 25.6% presented mild improvement. So just over 50% of people who were injected with malaria who had syphilis saw some sort of improvement.
Yikes, are you for real?
Yeah, but back then it was just like they had no other choice. It was either you were going to die of this shit or you were just going to like wing it and just go for the win and see.
Welcome to malaria. Welcome.
She's the man. Again, like I said, these findings and this experiment was amazing because just 5 years prior, if you had GPI, you were going to fucking die of it. That was pretty much a given.
So I guess like what did malaria like?
Malaria
did it like counteract it?
Malaria brought the fever to a high enough temperature that killed off the bacteria from the syphilis, and then that would.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so like kind of like I was. I know it's kind of hard to follow me here, but it was basically that. Like the malaria bacteria and shit wasn't curing it. It was the fact that your body, the patient's body's fever
blew the fuck up.
Yes. And that the highest fever that they could possibly get was from malaria. And the fact that your body is then, do you get what I'm saying? Is that it's like boiling off that bacteria.
Yeah.
So this brought hope to patients' families and patients alike. And in 1927, Wagner won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for this discovery. He is the first and only psychiatrist to be awarded the prize. I also looked at the Japanese bacteriologist because I was kind of thinking, well, why didn't he get his Nobel Prize? Again, he's very controversial. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but he did end up winning a bunch of stuff. He had his face on the yen in Japan, so he not that I don't know, I'm just, that's just what it was. I didn't vote in the Nobel Prize committee. Just
sorry,
telling you how it is.
Don't quote me.
So malaria therapy was used in hospitals for other mental diseases such as schizophrenia, manic depressive psychosis, psychomotor a lot of other things. Oh, epilepsy, I know that word.
Me.
Then, of course, penicillin was discovered in 1928, and it was much less dangerous way of curing this, so malaria therapy was used no more. I found this so fucking interesting. I know it probably wasn't that interesting to you, but I continuously I was so amazed at this shit. Like, I don't know why. It's just like, also
your body's weird.
My body's weird.
No,
just like in general?
Yeah, like imagine that. Like imagine introducing another disease to fight off that other one.
And your body naturally, it's great. Yeah. I thought you were saying my body's weird. I was like, girl, I know I got that cellulitosis, but like.
I got so much.
Oh my God, let's not tear ourselves apart. Love every inch of you, baby.
Stop. Edit that out.
Okay. And I just felt like I was doing a little research. I was a sexy little nurse. Oh, look at me with my...
Wouldn't you be a journalist?
My koosh pan. No, I was a sexy little nurse in my candy striper outfit. Oh, I know how to make a bed and fold hospital corners. My mom taught me. She used to be a candy striper. I need a pay raise, but that's okay because I'm just doing my due diligence.
Oh my God, I cannot. What's good? What's going on?
The American healthcare system.
Am I in the right dimension?
No, you've tuned into the wrong podcast, bitch. Unsubscribe.
No, never.
No, please don't unsubscribe. So that is curing syphilis with malaria.
That is crazy.
Use condoms.
Yeah, honestly, like let's just not. Back to Sarah.
Bring it on back, baby.
So I didn't really build this one because there wasn't really anything to build on. So I'm just going to get right into it.
Perfect.
So the practice of bloodletting began...
Stop. That's my next one.
I told...
I'll chime in when I can chime in. This is perfect because then we both did perfect.
Okay. I told him what it was.
I'm so mad at him. But it's also... this is good. Cool. I'll just chime in.
So the practice of bloodletting began around 3,000 years ago with the Egyptians and continued with the Greeks and Romans, the Arabs and Asians, and then spread through Europe during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. It reached its peak in Europe in the 19th century, but subsequently declined, and today in Western medicine is used only for a few select conditions. To understand the rationale for bloodletting, one must first understand the grid of disease 2,300 years ago in the time of Hippocrates, which was 460 to 370 BC. Do you want to talk about him and then I'll go into this?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to chime in here because we both did it because the person that we're both texting didn't recognize that this was the same fucking thing.
Something told me that one of these you were gonna do. Something told me like you would use fucking leeches.
I know. Oh, I can't wait till we get there. Okay, so basically, Hippocrates, he believed that the existence was represented by the 4 basic elements, which, according to Sarah, is earth, wind, and fire, but according to everybody else,
cannot
it
deal.
is earth, air, fire, and water, which humans are based on the basic 4 humors, which is blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. So each humor was centered by a particular organ, which was the brain, lung, spleen, and gallbladder. So essentially, it was believed that if one person fell ill, there was an imbalance in one of those 4 humors.
Right.
So then, in the 1st century, the Greek physician, surgeon, and philosopher, who is Galen of Pergamum.
You got it.
Pergamum. We'll call him Galen. He declared that blood was the most dominant humor. Therefore, treatment consisted of removing an amount of excessive humor by various means, such as bloodletting.
So bloodletting was divided into a generalized method done by
Venesection.
love that. And
which is also phlebotomy.
yes, and arteriotomy.
Oh yeah, I just skipped that. I just went with like phlebotomy because it's the same fucking thing and it's a lot easier to say.
And a localized method done by scarification with cupping and leeches.
All right, so hi, me again. So venesection was the most common procedure and usually involved the draining of the patient's blood through the large vein in their elbow, though many other veins could be used. So the main instrument for this technique, well, there were 2 of them, and it was called lancets and fleams.
We love that.
So lancets were small, sharp-pointed, 2-edged instruments, often with ivory or tortoiseshell case that the physician could carry in his pocket. Love to bring that out at parties. It's a little party trick. You want me to cut your elbow?
Yeah, I do.
And then fleams were usually devices with multiple variably sized blades that folded, kind of like a pocket knife or like a Swiss Army knife. Horrifying instruments, considering what they did.
Right.
And okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and let you get into it.
Localized bloodletting often involved scarification, which meant scraping the skin with a cube-shaped brass box containing multiple small knives, followed by cupping, which involved placing a dome-shaped glass over the skin and extracting the air by suction or prior heating. This reminds me of the movie where they put the rat in a bucket and they make the bucket hot so the rat like starts to eat into the guy's skin.
What movie is that? We talked about that in our torture episode.
Yeah, I forget what it was.
Ooh. I remember the first time I had even heard of cupping.
The Kylie Jenner challenge?
No, fuck that. When I was a kid, I was watching Harriet the Spy.
Oh, shit.
And remember she's peeking into the window of the Asian family who was in the basement, and the grandfather was getting I remember he was getting acupuncture done, and then another scene he was getting cupping done, because I remember asking, I was like, Mom, why does that guy have light bulbs on his back?
Right.
Because they would just like heat up the cups and it would like suction out.
Right. My friend did that as therapy once.
I've never done it before. I'm curious to get it done because Michael Phelps used to get it done. I remember when he would jump in the pool and you could see his back. You could see the cupping scars.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what it does exactly. Doesn't it just like increase the blood flow because you're pulling?
I think, but like for what?
To increase your blood. I don't know. I feel like people are screaming at us because they know what the fuck it's for.
Right, and we're just like, oh, for what? Leeches used for bloodletting usually involved the...
Yeah, that's right. Leeches.
Yeah. At each feeding, a leech can ingest about 5 to 10 milliliters of blood, almost 10 times its own weight.
Girl, that is me at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Okay, you have to. The use of
Listen,
leeches...
I already paid to fucking get in. I'm going to wait by that crab leg table.
I love
And I don't care
legs.
that people are fucking staring at me because they're going to be like, this
I'm
kid's going to
waiting.
hog it up.
I'm waiting on a prayer.
What? Yeah. Fucking keep eating your fried rice until I leave. And then you can have the crab legs. Now I want crab legs.
The use of leeches was greatly influenced by Dr. Francois. I'm just going to call him that.
Francois
he was
Bourgeoisie.
A Parisian physician from 1772 to 1838 who claimed that all fevers were due to a specific organ inflammation. He was a great person who knew of leech therapy along with aggressive bloodletting. He believed in placing leeches over an organ of a body that was deemed to be inflamed.
Ooh.
His therapy was very popular in Europe in the 1830s, especially France, where 5 to 6 million leeches per year were used in Paris alone, and about 35 million in the country as a whole.
35 million leeches in just Europe.
To literally suck people's blood for medical reasons. By the late 1800s, however, enthusiasm for leech therapy had been waived, but leeches are still used today in select situations.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about situations in which bloodletting was used, not just the leeches. So in the 1600s, Charles II suffered a seizure, and he was immediately treated with 16 ounces of bloodletting from his left arm, followed by another 8 ounces from cupping. In total, he had about 24 ounces of blood taken before he fucking died.
I cannot.
I would die too.
Didn't he die from all the blood loss?
I'm not exactly sure which he died from, but wasn't looking too good. So then in the 1700s, after riding in snowy weather, our man, George Washington, he developed a fever and respiratory distress. So under the care of 3 physicians, he had copious amounts of blood drawn, and he died the next night from what was diagnosed retrospectively as shock. And his medical treatment stirred quite the controversy over the use of bloodletting. They were like, does this actually work? So then there is Dr. Benjamin Rush. Did you talk about this guy at all? Did you do any research on him?
I did. Yeah, I didn't include him in my thing.
Oh, okay.
It seemed long.
No, that's fine. I'll just talk about him briefly. So he worked tirelessly during the yellow fever epidemics in Philadelphia, right here in our own neighborhood, in 1793 and through 1797. And he devoted much time to the problem of mental illness. Sounds all great and lovely, right? It's like, wow, he's really working to handle this stuff, and he's taking into consideration mental illness. But unfortunately, he had a very fucking simplistic view of these diseases, and he thought that all febrile illnesses were due to irregular
you can do it.
Irregular convulsive action of the blood vessels. So basically, in his mind, all therapy was directed at calming down any vascular overexcitement. So he was a great component of depletion therapy, which meant aggressive bloodletting and vigorous purging. So basically bleeding you till you were on the brink of death, and then it's like, you will be cured when you're better.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
We love that for him.
He was also known to remove an extraordinary amount of blood, and again, like I said, he would often bleed his patients out several times, and that was pretty much the only medical stuff that he would do. So
he was just like a monster.
Yeah, that was it. So there was a quote from him. It said, "It frequently strangles a fever, imparts strength to the body. It renders the pulse more frequent when it's primarily slow. It renders the bowels, blase, blase, blah." He's basically naming all these things that he thinks he's doing to cure these people. But again, he was very controversial. So at the time, people either really loved him or really hated him. But most of the doctors who were in the medical field referred to his practices as murderous. And he prescribed doses that were, quote, fit for a horse. So basically going really above and beyond what people needed.
People love to use horses. What's up with that?
So then there's this guy from Paris in the late 1800s. His name is Dr. Pierre Louis. And he was another scientific-minded physician who wanted to see if bloodletting actually worked. So he examined a course of 77 patients who suffered from acute pneumonia. And he compared the results in the patients treated with bloodletting in the early phases versus the late phases of the illness. And in his conclusion, I'm not going to get into it, but basically he didn't condemn bloodletting, but he concluded that the procedure, was actually curing much less than the public commonly believed, if at all. Eventually, most doctors began thinking bloodletting wasn't really doing anything to benefit the patients at all.
Lord.
But in the last 25 years, leech therapy has made a comeback in the arena of microsurgery and reimplantation surgery. So the leeches not only take out blood, but they also secrete several biologically active substances, which can actually help reduce congestion and prevent tissue necrosis. Can you tell that I didn't actually write that? That's a copy and paste right there. Probably saying that wrong, but oh well. So it's commonly used in post-operative care of skin grafts and reimplantations of skin, fingers, ears, and toes.
We love love that.
And if you've ever watched the show Botched, they actually use leeches to help repair people's fucked up surgeries.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that they still did that, but they literally like put it under this woman's titty and was just like, come back in 3 weeks and we're going to remove the leech. Well, not 3 weeks, but whatever.
I can't.
I don't like leeches. That grosses me out. How would you
feel? If I like had the same information as you, it just made you read the whole thing.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Leeches are scary. I feel like they can give you diseases. They probably can, but like,
I would assume. Also, like, I just don't think that like this is like you're letting this leech suck my blood for 3 weeks. Like,
right? Like, why?
Like, that's like a little much. You're letting me leave with this thing?
Yeah.
Like,
take it home. Name it.
Well,
Get
what
attached.
if he like
literally
goes
attached.
to my vagina or something? Like, what if he like finds his way somewhere else?
Oh my god, so many things would be going through my head. But
That's what I'm saying.
Ever since I read Series of Unfortunate Events, I have hated leeches. And then
I feel that.
I saw it in the movie. I think it was in the movie, right? With the leeches that ate the husband.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
No, thank you. Bless you. Well, that was nice.
Thanks.
Both your sneeze and our topic.
Thanks. Yeah.
I
our
like
topic
that.
together.
Yeah, I'll have to have a talk with a producer.
Yeah. Huh?
Someone's getting fired. Just kidding. Do you have a sneeze? Nope. Okay, you almost did. I was going to say suggest bloodletting.
I have a tweet of the week, not a fun fact.
Okay.
My fun fact, I already said it.
Oh.
It was something you said.
Oh, okay.
And I said fun fact.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just
that
use
was
my...
it.
Okay, I like that.
The tweet says, "So Remy, no one speaks to me. Drunk me at 3 a.m. I will talk to anyone about anything." And that's like really me.
I love that for you.
Thanks.
Okay, so my fun fact kind of is in this realm of the medical field, and it's spider juice was a toothache remedy. I thought you were going to talk about this. I was kind of hoping you didn't. God. But you didn't. So spider juice was made of spiders, eggshells, and oil that were boiled together until reduced to 1/3 of its volume, and the sufferer held it in his or her mouth. So basically the spider's venom was strong enough to kill, or was not strong enough to kill the patient, but it was strong enough to numb and relieve a lot of mouth pain. So how about that? It's kind of nasty.
Crazy. Yeah, and nasty. I mean, honestly, like, think about it. Like, your mouth is just really kind of nasty.
Yeah, your mouth is nasty too, bitch. The fuck?
Like think about it. You're just like chewing all day and just like doing things and
talking shit.
Yeah, that's me. I don't care about nothing.
Okay, I'm looking for my tweet of the week, which was actually going to be my tweet of the week last week, and I totally forgot. So I might need un momento, por favor. The Jonas Brothers, I wish because it's going to be old news by now, because it was old news this week, but the Jonas Brothers tweeted a little clip of their music video before they really fully announced that they were making, before they announced that it was like coming back real quick. Right. And Dr. Phil retweeted it and he said, "Shook."
Stop.
In large uppercase letters. I forgot uppercase.
He made, famous, that girl, Danielle Bregoli.
Listen.
You didn't make me famous, Phil.
Man, baby.
Phil.
Phil Nye, the science guy. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thanks for tuning in. We're all over the place all the time, but you guys still love us, and we thank you.
Yeah, and if you like this, give us a great review. Leave us 5 stars. It helps us out a lot. Tell an ugly friend. Tell a fucking ugly friend to listen to it.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
We'll find you.
Yeah, we're going to find you, and we're going to say, hey.
We're going to put leeches on
your, yeah. And then we're going to blow tobacco smoke in your anus. We won't do that. I'm kidding. Seriously, you have to get, because you know how people used to soak like tampons and put them in their vaginas?
Yeah, for alcohol.
I never knew anybody who actually did that. I didn't know if that was just like one of those urban legends, but I'm sure somebody out there did that. Or like people, I know Steve-O butt chugged, where he basically put a beer up his ass because it's below your, what's it called?
What does it do?
It enters your blood system without really processing through your liver.
Yikes.
So I think it gets you fucked up. But I'm not a doctor, and I would not suggest butt chugging.
No.
But it's always funny, like when I suggest it at a party and people don't understand my humor and like think I'm serious. Or like if they think I'm joking, then I act like I'm serious, and they're just like, oh. And then they just like stop talking to me. It's a really fun game I like to play at a party.
Well, we love that for you.
So next party you're at, suggest butt chugging, but don't actually participate because you will go to the hospital. Also, don't soak your tampons in vodka.
Yeah, that's like really...
Seriously, if you're going to do it in tequila, you pussy ass bitch. Oh, just kidding. Okay. Don't do it at all. Oh my God. Keep alcohol out of your vagina. But subscribe. Love you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.